There's just 1 minute to showtime.
The engines are on.
The following program is brought to you in living color.
When they wrote up the systems and the rule set that we use, did working people get to write a line? What class of men on pen and paper jotted down their clues? With capital the heart of their design. When 90 million want a thing, but some shareholders say no, which class of people get to have their way? The people read the fine print, say that this thing has got to go, and we'll start writing a new contract here today. Don't you know that hundreds will work and one man keeps the money? They don't think they gotta tell us why. When they say the new social contract, all the bosses will be gobsmacked and everyone will want a sign. Oh, yeah, everyone will want a sign.
All right, here we go. Election result.
Happy Wednesday, everybody. Well,
Yeah, well, it's Wednesday. Happy, I guess, is relative. Yeah, so we are. Thank you for joining us, first of all, for a new. This is a new and live episode of Social Contract. This is a pre-recorded. We decided to move our normal Tuesday show to today so that we would have a little less speculation in our conversation about what was going forward with the election. We are really tired of talking about it. So,
yeah, I couldn't handle just I watch other people going up with the election night stream of Brent, which I have done in
Yes.
the past. I don't think I did 2021, but 2016, I definitely sat on my couch watching the thing, drinking for 5 hours, going through watching the results come in. I can't
right.
handle doing that anymore because how
Yeah.
am I going to sit here and talk about how these elections don't matter, and if it was
No.
if anything was actually going to change, that person would not be allowed to run in the first place, and
Right.
then get super hyped up about the election? How can I do
Yeah,
both
no,
of those things?
it was super futile. There was nothing. This was nothing. There was no reason to do it. No matter how it was going to turn out, it was going to be shit anyways. So, it's not like anybody was winning anything or were getting anywhere or, things, yay, definitely there are some people who feel that they got the sad end of the story, but we're not one of them because we pretty much saw this coming. It was just as likely that, if not more, that he was going to pull through because this was through and through a redo of Hillary's failure 2016 campaign against Donald Trump, where Kamala courted, but it was 2.0 kind of version of it, because Kamala courted the right, just like Hillary did, people who were never going to vote for her in the first place, instead of when she could have been paying attention to very large swaths of the population, the Arab swath, the Latin swath, Latin Hispanic swath, people of color across the board. But she was like, here, I'll give you weed. Come on. So there was that, and which wouldn't have happened anyways. And, ignored the concerns of leftists. And out of all of those groups, leftists are the smallest faction of all. So it's not they ignored the leftists again. Everybody does. That's why we're here. We're just a bunch of disenfranchised people just kind of bouncing around like pinballs. We don't really have any organization or leadership. We're just angry. So we are, we want to kind of unpack what happened and look at it kind of in the way that it happened. It was just a redo of Hillary's campaign, all the same mistakes that she made, and except for that this time, doing a genocide on top of everything else. So some people are saying, well, good, it means that she didn't vote genocide, or that people didn't vote for genocide. A lot of them did. The majority still did, because Trump's been I'll do it harder. all Israel harder. So
we have hooray, the genocide lady lost. Boo, the genocide man won.
right. No, this once again, we are not happy about this result. Let us be very clear here. We are not happy about this. This is not a good result. This was not a good outcome. But like shit sandwich versus shit sandwich, you're gonna get a shit sandwich. This is exactly what we were anticipating one way or the other, except that we've done this one before, so we know what to expect. So now, does this mean genocide is bad? Are the liberals going to jump all over it and be like, we were against it the whole time? And they're holding up their face, their phones like, baby faces are loose in Palestine. We got to, I don't care. If they'll do it, they'll do it. But, whatever gets the attention to where it needs to be. But that's what we're looking at.
Was if you've seen our program and are like, wow, they only ever crap on the Democrats, you're gonna love the show starting next year, because guess what? Now the other people are in charge, and you're gonna be like, well, finally it's like how left I am considered seems to now depend on which administration is in charge. Because as anti-imperialists, whether Coke or Pepsi is running the empire, that's who you're criticizing. That's who it's the most appropriate to be criticizing and going after. When people talk about, oh, we'll push them left. Well, that didn't really happen at all for the last 4 years. So maybe under a Trump presidency, a bunch of people will be activated, like you're saying. Maybe now they really are going to start caring about Palestine. I don't think they will, but it would be very interesting to see.
We always go into these things thinking like, oh, well, somebody learned their lesson. No, the fuck they didn't. Look how this escalated the way that it escalated. Nobody learned a goddamn thing. Kamala Harris's campaign wasn't offering anybody anything. They weren't even offering lies or distractions, and we went over that and over that and over that.
Just lie about one of these things, and you might get some vote. Just say you're going to stop blowing babies.
Say the words. Like everybody, all of your predecessors, all of your forebearers who came into this would just say anything, would lie about anything, and it would get people to believe it, and they would vote for that person, and then they'd be like, haha, fuck you, and then they wouldn't do it, and they knew that it would just happen over and over and over again. Clinton was a master of this.
In Obama, you say you're going to do abortion rights, and then you just don't.
Yeah, no, and then just don't do it. Shout out to the chat. Hey, are you time traveler too? Hello to you as well. Saying hello to us. Hello to everybody watching. We appreciate you, whether you're watching live or later at your leisure. Feel free to throw some questions, comments at us. We know everybody's feeling some stuff today. I can't. We Jared and myself in this program, we can't help but be like, haha. It sounds like we're cheering on the Republicans, but we're definitely not, because it's just like, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. That's what this is. Like, it was the same question with Hillary, which is like, why, and Biden, it's like, why are the numbers so close? Why are you versus like the worst candidate, the worst guy that everybody hates except for weirdos, and which apparently they hate being called that, but whatever. With the worst guy, the guy that doesn't know anything, the guy that can't read a book, the guy that's super stupid, the guy that will say anything for anybody. Like, why are these numbers running so close? And this time it was just an absolute sweep. And not just with Trump either. Local elections went Republican. The House and the Senate went Republican.
Before we jump into anything too specific, I think an extremely important overarching number to look at is look at the amount. I know popular vote doesn't determine the election, which hey, isn't it kind of nice that we didn't end up in some weird dumb electoral college thing? Hooray! Yeah. It's just over. There's no we gotta count Pennsylvania's votes for a month and a half or whatever. It's just kind of done. So we have here are the vote totals from 2020. We got Biden with 81.2 million, Trump with 74.2 million, and now this election from yesterday, we got 66.9 million for Harris, 71 million for Trump. Trump actually, and I know they're still counting votes, so these numbers will go up a little bit, but not by 3 million, I don't think, for Trump. Trump got fewer votes in this election than last time, but Kamala over here went from 81.2 million to 66.9 million. It's not that everybody became suddenly that Trump got a ton more love this round. It's that people were alienated from the Democrat campaign because she didn't
seem to be even trying to win any votes. And
You would
people
almost
stayed
say
home.
you would, if you were of a conspiratorial mind, and I do like to bring up conspiracy thoughts every now and again because we do think of these things. You would almost say that like this was a collusion event where they were going to throw it on purpose and throw it back to Trump so that everybody would have the common enemy. And then both sides could still benefit from war. Now we get to start one with using Taiwan to aggravate China. So, which they've already talked about happening 2026, 2027 timeline. That's on the way because they can just make Trump and the Republicans the bad guys who don't care if they're seen as the bad guys because they're still getting what they want. And then the Democrats can use that as a deflection to hide behind it and do the exact same thing, to walk in lockstep with them. It's not like that is when you see something this like dramatically bad play out, then it's not that far from the imagination to say that could be a possibility. Is it really the way things went? I don't know. I think I think people who compete want to win typically. But
this felt like I was convinced that 3 months ago, whenever Trump got I intentionally don't say got shot, got hit with a piece of shrapnel from a bullet that was directed at him and went into the crowd behind him. When after that happened, you remember how much just nobody seemed to care, even 2 days later.
That was bizarre.
That for any other candidate, that would have been it. Wow, they tried to kill him.
Well, yeah,
my supporters were super activated.
Exactly, because based on what we have always experienced, we thought we were like, oh, it's over. It's this shutout. He's won this just now with this, with the pumping his fist under the flag picture and blood on his face, and it's like it's over. But we're still in the old mindset of things too. We've been voting for 100 years at this point. We have been watching this play out. We've been shit libs. We wouldn't be here if we hadn't been. So you're absolutely right.
And then you got both of them were trying to lose, and it's who can try to lose the hardest. And I guess Trump showing up at McDonald's and doing the garbage truck thing. They killed that squirrel. Maybe that didn't help. That guy told a joke. Oh my God! If Trump would have lost, that would have been the funny part of that. Would have been oh my God! I can't believe that guy told a joke so bad that he lost Trump the fucking election.
Things were so minor. It was such a minor effort put forward by everyone this time. Usually, you see months. That's what we were saying at the beginning of the year. We were kind of talking between ourselves about programming wise, we'll probably have an ongoing voting election show every month or every bi-weekly or something. We'll just kind of dedicate the conversation. And it was crickets. Nothing was happening for months, and we're like, what's going on? And nothing really started happening until September, and I've never really seen that happen before. And then everything just went into turbo.
We didn't even have our final two candidates until, was it September that Biden was forced out?
Yes. Or right at the beginning, I think maybe it was August, right in August, and then by September they're just kind of just muscled her in. No votes, no primaries, nothing like that, which was a big sore spot for a lot of people already who wanted to get away from that administration. So, excuse me, I'm sorry.
Let's check out some of these numbers that are interesting, because the ones that are interesting beyond that are, look down here. The Libertarians they lost to a guy who stopped running, RFK. He literally pulled out of, you can't, that's the weird thing, is you'll be like, well, he pulled out. How does anybody even vote for him? Don't they take him off the ballot? It's depending on what state, no. Depending on what state, no, there's the deadline's passed, blah, 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 the ballots can't change. Then you have, what is it? We'll find out what happened with that, but it was in Ohio. There were certain polling places that had notices up that said, they didn't literally say do not vote for Jill Stein, but they're like, Jill Stein has been removed from the ballots and we will not be counting any votes for Jill Stein, because I get the way the Greens phrased it was an unauthorized person sent in a withdrawal. What, can anybody? Could I just? Right? Are you saying just a random person or a Green Party higher up? Who was it? Either way, you're watching the Greens get sued off of ballots and removed from things, and Jill Stein still got more votes than RFK or Chase Oliver. God, that's hilarious. Don't the Libertarians usually get at least 1%? Don't they usually get a couple percent?
I don't want to say pretty good, but they poll. I mean, they do generally have because we've discussed it before, and Jared has pointed out, I think accurately, that libertarians are basically just anarchists that are also Republicans, like that want bad shit. Like they want no government and just run around and do whatever, I guess.
I think the rank and file, just random people who identify and call themselves libertarian, that's usually like everything else, basically a coin toss if you actually talk to them. Sometimes economically we're basically on the same page, but then the conclusion they end up at is like, and that's why there just should be no government at all. And it's like, well, I get what you're going for here, but the rugged individualism, that's just anarchy. Like you've got
right, yes.
Anarchism, I should say, not like, anarchy, like Mad Max. No, I'm talking if you don't have a state to enforce something. I mean, preferably, like, well, if communism, socialism is to have a people's state. If you don't have a state of some kind, keeping things not even, but you know what I mean? It just becomes might makes right, and whoever has either the biggest guns or just the biggest caveman gets to be like that's what that is. No regulation of any kind. It's like, well, that doesn't really work, because then just who's already winning, they win. They continue to win, like especially in the system that we're under.
Yeah, it's just there's so much political. This is kind of a hot button. I don't mean it in the term pejoratively. I just mean it like there's so much tribalism among people, like where their identity is wrapped up in their political views. And yeah, I take pride in the fact that I see myself as a socialist / communist, like whatever, leftist. I don't really care about the label. I care about upholding the beliefs and doing something to try to inform and other people about what we believe in. So I do get the idea of it, but then when we get in cross the line into identity politics, that's how you get what we got this time, with two of the worst candidates following two of the worst candidates following two of the worst candidates. And this is all kind of when we were talking about making promises and lies and never delivering. Obama really set the a high bar on that we, it really, really spoke to people, really made people believe that hope and change quite literally were going to happen. Things really, really got worse. And you can only point at the other guy so much. Be like, well, Republicans, and they kept stopping everything. And it's like, you guys had the super majority a lot, that has happened, throughout the last whatevers, and you do nothing. So it's like, I don't want to say people are getting wise necessarily, because we wouldn't be in this mess if people had really, really paid attention to what was going on and not just jump behind a color candidate. But also, I don't want to say people are going to learn from this experience, because they won't. This is going to end up we're going to do this again in 2028. People are going to jump behind the AOC Pete Buttigieg ticket and be like, these guys, they're going to help change us for a real. We're gonna live forever, and everyone's gonna get cotton candy houses, and who cares about Palestinians anyway? They're all gone now. So, that's where people will just. I don't know. It's like everybody takes their stupid pills or something at election time. I don't know what inspires people to not give a shit for 3.5 years, and then suddenly everyone is like a political analyst. And if you don't vote for my candidate, I will, blow up the whole earth and shoot everyone into the sun and deport you all. I'll deport you myself if you don't do what I say. The bullying. But here's the good thing about being on the left, or being a woman, or being anybody in a marginalized group, or LGBTQ, everything that you can be a person of color. We're used to taking the heat for when the white people don't get their way. And it's usually those are the culprits who are pointing the finger and saying, you didn't do what we wanted you to do, you bucked the system, so therefore you should now feel my wrath, my personal wrath, and the wrath of the country, and I hope that you get deported, and I hope that you get FBI raided, and I hope that bad things happen to you and your family, and yada 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 yada. But we're used to that kind of thing. You don't get to this point because things have been great for you in your life. So we don't bat an eye at that kind of stuff anymore. So the liberals, I sent you a tweet earlier today in our chat, if you want to throw it on the screen, about just that very thing. Liberal coming up when it was just like, I hope the worst, you get all deported and the worst things in the world happen to you. And
right before I pull that up, after a surprising amount of effort to, like, this was weirdly hard to find, in 2020, the Libertarian candidate got 1.8% of the vote, or 1.8 million votes. Sorry, 1.18. And the Green candidate, who was Howie Hawkins at the time, who sucks, he got 0.26% of the vote, or 400,000. So Jill Stein did outperform him, but like not by a ton.
Yeah, I wrote his stupid ass in. It was the first time I ever went off book when I was voting. So yeah, no, I've been in this game for a little while now.
So this was the tweet, and I don't pull these things up because I want anybody to like be put on blast individually, because this just reflects a larger sentiment that is like the thing I actually care about, not getting individuals in trouble for saying things. This isn't an individual thought that one or two people had. This seems to reflect a general trend of how people are dealing with things today.
Right.
Where we have, the absolute betrayal by Latino Americans to think we tried to care.
So you're pretending to give a shit about other people.
There's a lot to unpack in that sentence where it's like, so this was, it's like the day after a Republican win is when a lot of liberals are like, I'm allowed to be as racist and terrible as I want today.
Yes.
That's what I get to do after.
Yeah, it's total baby tantrum, the infant terribilis thing. I can't remember what order the words goes in. But that's exactly what it is. They get to be, they feel like, oh, well, I didn't get what I want, and now I can tear you apart and say all the things I wasn't allowed to say yesterday.
So yeah, now I get to be a big asshole. Here, this guy, I kept his thing in because this is like all very egregious. Fuck Latinos and Arabs. There, I said it. Remember the whole like so much for the tolerant left meme? It's just like, you're there. Hope you all get deplatformed and banned. Oh, no, sorry, deported. It's much worse than deplatformed. Deported and banned. But it's look, maybe I hope this guy's a fake account, because it's like rainbow flag, rainbow profile circle, all that stuff. It's like, man.
Yeah, maybe not. But, you own it, Greg, whatever, Hatfield. But you own it if you're real. If that's your opinion, you should get whatever, and you want to put that out there. You should get whatever, you
just hope everybody's drunk and like just not paying attention. But it's like, man, I guess we're revealing what. Because what's the number one criticism? It's people going, half the country, or really about 25% of the country, because only half of Americans even vote in the first place. Half the countries are just these horrible Hitlerite Nazis, and that's why we're just so screwed as a country. People are so evil and awful. I sure hate I hate my neighbor. I really, really hate my neighbors, just people around me, general powerless people. They are who to blame for this, truly. And like that's supposed to why? Because they're horribly racist and don't care about marginalized communities. And then what happens the second they lose? The people who call everyone else racist just have a racism festival of like, all these brown people didn't do the thing I wanted, so now I hate them. Like,
that's the thing, and that's what I mean by when I say we're used to taking the heat for these things. Because if anytime liberals don't get their way, they throw tantrums and start pointing the finger, like really racist and sexist issues. Like, okay, so you actually were just pretending to want those things. And
who are the deplorables?
Right, yeah, and you're actually just rip off the mask and you're like a Trump supporter, right? Like, because that's basically, if Trump supporters were doing that directed at the liberals, you'd be like, oh no, crying a foul. But now that you're doing it, it's allowed. And that does speak to the nature of, I guess, Americans. I am looking forward to seeing the numbers on no voting. Like how low the turnout was this year.
It is definitely lower than last time. I mean, last time was the most participated in elections since 1900 by percentage. So we were never going to clear that, or at least probably not going to. But yeah, remember, if you listen to me talking a year ago, it's like my number one favorite result would be if no one voted, if everyone just boycotted the election. So like, I don't think it's going to be record low turnout, but it's definitely lower turnout. And the whole like, this is the most important election of our lifetimes, like didn't really.
Yeah,
that definitely worked in 2020.
Yeah, for sure. And people are sick of the rhetoric. People are sick of the, you can't, it's hard to say people are this, people are that, because when we're sitting here looking at the map and the numbers, and, it wasn't just Trump who won. Republicans really swept local offices and in different states and the House and the Senate and stuff. So that shows. Well, it's pretty much the antithesis of what people like, Jared and myself are after. This stands completely in direct defiance of our values and what we champion. And that's not good. FYI here. Yes, of course, we're going to talk a lot of shit about the Democrats because they had so many opportunities to come through, even disingenuinely, and stop this from happening. Which again makes you wonder, like, were they going to ultimately see go back into the fundraising mode and see gains coming their way, and that was more attractive of a possibility, which likely it is, because our government does not serve the people. It is runaway capitalism, and it's a runaway government at this point, especially when people like Trump can qualify to be the president twice, and still being, all this legal heat and all this kind of shit, and all these people proclaiming to hate him, and he's the worst, and he's the worst of all the worstness. He's Hitler, double Hitler. It's like, well, then why can't anybody manage to scrape up a decent candidate with a decent platform who listens and courts the people who actually might vote for them and inspires people to vote for them that weren't going to do it otherwise, and not just play like the background singers to Trump? That's essentially what the Democrats did in this.
It is impossible for anything tangible to be offered to us, because the only way to create tangible change would be, there you go, to create tangible change. Our current system does not allow for conditions that are not the ones that we are living in currently.
Right.
No, even if you had the most radical, even if frickin' Vladimir Lenin won president of the United States, the actual power that the president has, as has been illustrated by, if you really think that Trump is the ultimate dictator, evil man, he had 4 years in office, and if you think it was like, oh, well, he was waiting for his second term, that's when he was really gonna do all the evil shit. It's like, he tried. He would be like, all right, I'm gonna do this, and then some other part of the government would just be like, no. We had straight up news reports where it's like the CIA and FBI just straight up didn't do some of the shit they told him to. Well, not those. He would give orders that just wouldn't be followed. And it's like, well, does the president actually have this? Maybe we should revisit the whole, how significant is the president? At least on domestic policy, they kind of just aren't. They are, even in the perfect ideal version of this, they are our foreign policy major diplomat. They are America's mascot, not even necessarily in a shitty way, just like, that's who's supposed to go around and shake hands with blah, 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 and make deals with them and help with relations in this country. And they're really a foreign policy position as far as like leadership goes. And they have the exact same foreign policy. So what? I'm extremely confused that neither of them.
Before we go any further, we got a comment in our. This has come up before. Rump My Steak is asking, is this a real stream or just some kind of recording? We are live. We are broadcasting live. It is 1:30 Eastern time right now. This comes up from time to time. I'm not sure if maybe it presents on some of our streams that it was recording. I wish that there was a little live tab that would inform people of what's going on.
It doesn't have the little thing in the corner that says
I
live
guess
on
not,
YouTube?
because we have been asked before, and I think that those questions tend to come from Twitch. So we're live. This is live. This is real live life right now, as us commentating in real life about what's going on. So hello.
We are live reading tweets from last night at 2:30 a.m. From the great Democrat, the good guys, the good team, the team of very good people who very much care about marginalized groups and not just, getting their way. Even they don't think they know what that would mean. Them too. I hope Trump turns Gaza into a parking lot now. Like I guess they didn't before. I hope Gaza gets turned into a parking lot. Ukraine flag in bio. Fantastic. Hope they make a parking lot out of Gaza. A lot of parking lot comments here. They probably just keyword searched parking lot and got these tweets. Fuck them. I hope they're all deported. Gazans? I can't wait until Netanyahu gets the green light to turn Gaza into a parking lot. Yeah, they must have just searched the word parking lot. But these are all random. Hey, these are the good guys,
and
right?
it looks like at least one of those is a verified account, which obviously you could just purchase that. But
look at all these warriors of democracy and justice being the good guys on the right side of history, for sure.
What was it a week ago? We had a Kamala Harris organizer screaming in a toddler's face that she didn't give that was just, I think that was just the soft opener to what you were going to crack things open today.
You know what I'd love to think about is this was going to be the winning campaign. This was going to be how they win. That was the winning message a week before the election. I don't give a fuck about Gaza, bitch, yelled into a child's face.
Yeah, like not even like a kid, probably some like that was clearly a toddler.
He's in a stroller.
In a stroller, exactly. And other people are like, well, hey, hey, stop this. You know, so that and just the way that she kind of sidestepped over and picked her moment, like didn't pick a fight with someone like another adult that might fight her or punch her in the face, but like screams this at a toddler. And this woman was supposedly an organizer for the Harris campaign, and I think we probably, you know, playing Monday morning quarterback here, we could have seen that as the real harbinger of how things were going to go.
I have one more video clip, and if you remember this thing, this is some Kamala Harris fundraiser, or maybe I think it was Harris at that point, not still Biden, but it was there's protesters, of course, outside yelling about Gaza, and then there's all the I don't know if these are especially like celebrities or ultra rich people. I don't know if it was like one of those $2,000 like $1,000 plate fundraisers, or maybe it was something else. But either way, you got
pay to play.
Plug in their ears.
13 years old.
Say it again. Mock them again. Mock the children again. Do it again.
18 years old. 18 years old. Yusuf Hassan. 18 years old. Turn around and join the uncommitted delegates in the protest.
So then, if you go ahead and take a look at, let's look at Michigan. Michigan. Oh, man. Yeah. I can't believe that Michigan didn't, with the largest Muslim population in the country, I can't believe they didn't turn out in big numbers to vote for Kamala Harris after, like, watching the Democrat voter funders, whatever, coming out of a thing, one guy laughing about it. Like, I'm sure he thinks this is hilarious. Ha!
Ha! Good day today.
Wow, so, man, good job.
He paid for a large amount of money to be there for this, so you know. So
Dearborn, Michigan, Jill Stein was the number 2. It was like 45% Trump, 39% Jill Stein, and then like 10% Harris. And yeah, Dearborn, Michigan is not the largest contingency in Michigan, but like there you go. She lost by 80,000 votes. Maybe 80,000 more Muslims would have come out and voted for you if you just lied and said that you were going to stop sending bombs to Israel.
Yeah, you could have just lied about it. That's what we've been saying this whole time, because it's just baffling. We're used to old-time politics where politicians lie.
Just make some shit up.
Yeah, like right, exactly.
Something
like,
to believe in.
Yeah, he's really embodies that old school style of just saying anything. Like he will just say anything. And if you kind of, remember back to when he was president and I've mentioned this before. I think he would have done a lot worse, because really this was just about enriching his bank account and punishing his enemies. And now he's going to get the chance to do it, because I think he would have done a lot more had COVID not fallen in his lap and really kind of ruined his entire presidency and his good time. But if you think back to when like the payments started for the joblessness payments or like stimulus payments that were trying to supplement payments that he. Initially, it was $700 per week thereabouts, and then that got cut down. But like that was like his initial payment, because and that's sort of why his supporters are about it. They're like, he knows money, he knows how to money. They will put blinders on to the specifics, but they're like, oh, he's a billionaire for real. He knows money. He knows real estate. He's been doing this for a billion years. He knows what to do. That's what people looked up to him for in the first place. But then that people fought him on that, and they were like, no, we got to cut that amount down. And then we get to Biden when he takes over.
Both parties fought him on it. Republicans and Democrats were like, no, you can't do that, man. It's too much money for these poor motherfuckers.
And then they cut it down. And then Biden was like, I'm going to give you $1,400, and then just reneged on like half of it.
It was 24. It was supposed to be $2,400, and he took it down to $16.
Yeah, and then didn't only like 14 get paid out or something. I can't even remember the numbers.
Maybe it was down to 14, but yeah, it was. He knocked several thousand off of what the original payment was. And
yeah,
they
and
still
then
came out.
didn't even pay the last part of it. There was still like a $600 payment or something that nobody got.
Yeah,
And then
if you figured out the paperwork actually got your payment, because I know tons of people who just never got it at all.
Oh yeah, and then his quotation was that they tried to leverage it over an election in Georgia, and said the payments will go out the door as soon as we win in Georgia.
And then they won, and then they didn't do the payments, and it's like, man, why did we lose this time?
Yeah,
I think it doesn't even have to be like nearly as deep as everyone, because yes, all the things we're mentioning are like little pieces of it. If all these things added together would be why you have 15 million fewer people voting for you than did your old dementia boss last time. But it can be as basic as, think about, did your life get better or worse in the last 4 years? And for most Americans, the vast majority, things are more expensive, less affordable, and in general not great. When people talk about, oh, crime is good, it's like, I know that the general crime numbers are trending generally slightly down. Depending on where you live, that is not necessarily true. A lot of urban centers, it is getting worse. It's not like hell on earth, freaking Escape from New York, like people are making it, like some people make it out to be. But 4 years ago, there were not people sleeping behind my house. Now there are. Is that fake? Is that a thing? Remember, this is me talking. I pay a lot of attention. How does this strike a person who doesn't pay any attention and just goes, wow, things suck, I'm going to vote for the other party. And then in 4 years, they're going to go, wow, things still suck, I'm going to vote for the other party. Wow, a ton of people just ping pong back and forth.
Right. And, just to kind of take it into a personal realm here, which I wouldn't normally do, but I think it's relevant. I am a writer, by trade and an artist, and I've had a lot of trouble trying to find work this entire past year, mostly due to AI, companies seeing the dollar signs and firing their human workforces. So, I have seen firsthand this, what it is, and this is struggle. And I've been the type of person who's never been well off. I've always had to struggle my entire life. So that kind of gives me the insight on like what has to be done now. But I've also had to change my purview very, very much away from like all of the things that I'm doing, all of the goals that I wanted to achieve, and go right back into hardcore survival mode to the point that maybe more than I ever have before, because now the stakes are so much higher than they were. And I hate to admit that things were better economically under Trump before the prices started surging and we had all of that. But like at the beginning, things were a little bit better, and then they just got progressively worse very, very quickly in the last few years here. And now just because he's back in office, we don't know exactly what to expect, some idea. But you have to wonder, does this mean things will get better or worse? Just like with every new incoming president, is this thing's going to get better or worse? But what
if in February grocery prices are just like boom, everything's cut in half? Like, what would we even do? Be like, well, goddamn.
Yeah, and it's like I have to mentally prepare. Like my goals now have gone from like, do well, enjoy life, to make sure I don't lose my fucking house. Like that's where we are, and I know I'm not the only one experiencing that. And I know that all of us have, pros and cons in our lives. We're a little more lucky or a little less lucky in some ways or others. And we kind of just deal with it how we deal with it. But that is not what I wanted for myself, just personally speaking. I did not want to live in a situation where I had to forego every goal or thought, that I wanted to achieve in my life and solely focus on working and finding work and being able to pay bills and keeping my head above water. And I know that's the case for millions and millions of people. And again, I think that was a big motivating factor for voting for Trump for those who did. They were hoping money men would make money. Again, I think that's where that comes from. And to be clear, I did not vote for Trump. I did not vote for Kamala Harris either. I didn't vote for either one of them. I didn't vote in the presidential, just some locals. But that I can take my personal experience and I know I can multiply that across millions of Americans at this point, because things are bad. Things are bad.
It's like the average experience. It's just the general level of prosperity just continues to decrease every year, and eventually it will reach some kind of some kind of breaking point where
It must.
well,
I mean,
there's
I don't know
many
what that
breaking
would
points
be,
that could-
and I think it would be horrible to find out. But the fact of it is that I actively worry about how much worse things can get, because you know that they can't. You know, we are not at rock bottom here. America is showing signs of, if you put it across historical screen and look at the death of major empires throughout history, we're real close. You know, but sometimes it took hundreds of years for empires to die, right? Like they really started declining late after that point, and we're kind of on that slope. I don't really see us, because of greed, because of capitalism, being able to, other than nullifying our system now and inventing a new socialist system, or anti-capitalist system at least, that allows for people to represent the people and allows for us to rewrite laws for modern life and represent the things that we want now, which I don't see happening easily, at least. So we may be very well at the end of, dying empire. It certainly feels that way. And if that's the case, things will not be getting better anytime soon, or maybe ever, so to be continued as far as that goes.
I say give it like 10 years, and we'll have some kind of, not that like we're not hitting utopia in 10 years. We're never hitting utopia, but I think that there will be something will happen, whether that's for the better or worse, is yet to be seen. But this is such an untenable situation from so many angles. It's kind of down to like which thing happens first. Is it going to be one of these wars we keep poking around with? Is it going to be like our currency collapses? Is it going to be that our infrastructure continues to collapse? Is it going to be some kind of something like just straight up 1776 armed uprising where the Minutemen version 12 freaking come up and overthrow the government with the Citizens Council? And I have no idea, but something is going to. I have one more. I got a meme I wanted to throw out because I forgot to do it at the time.
As you're pulling that up, I will mention in the chat we have Remember My Steak once again points out that the fall of the USSR, how things were good. I'm trying to editorialize here because I put some points, but the things that we have been messed. This is not a new process of things. Just that it's sort of like just. I'm trying to read and say something, but it's like at the point of the Cold Wars, it's the point that they're making was that with the dissolution of the USSR, there's just all this trouble that started, and there's always something in that, and we're still living under the halo of that whole problem, and now how Russia is our enemy, and this, that, the other. So yeah, it's always looking back over history. There's always going to be this dog eat dog feeling of whoever has got the upper hand at the time, and on the world stage, we do see America's influence slipping, which may play a role.
Century, baby.
Chinese
century.
Yeah, and it may people are being tired of being pushed around and forced to use the U.S. dollar, or do what we say, or we'll blow up your entire country and infrastructure, and we'll do a coup, and all this and that. So as some people are pointing out here, yes. This has happened before. We just have to wait and see which version of events is going to play out in the as Jared said, like in the next 10 years, like what's going to happen. Like I have grave concerns about things getting much worse now, because if you look back 10 years, it was definitely better than things are now, and things very quickly got very bad. So question mark. Okay, no.
The most positive thing that could happen for this, if you're a supporter of the Democratic Party and care about them doing anything, it would be if they are essentially are destroyed by this, and then stop being the party of Clinton, Bush, Cheney, Obama, and instead rebuild themselves as a workers-based party, I don't know, American Labor Party. Maybe call it something that's not that, so we don't think about the British Labor Party, but That's what this meme is. Am I out of touch? No, it's the minorities who are white supremacists now, because seeing anybody go towards the left, because you've seen on the news as well, it's like everyone's blaming anyone but the campaign itself and the inability or lack of willingness of the Democrats to offer anything to regular people other than these like vague ideas of hope, joy, whatever, which only works on people who are in such a comfortable position that they can just I know these people who just have deluded themselves into I saw someone actually say like I am the joy of, like, basically upvote the whole joy nonsense, where they're like, the joy Kamala brings, how could anybody not want this? And that was like yesterday they were saying this. So that straight up did work on some people. And it's like, man, you must have a really, really nice job. When I was younger, the rich people voted for Bush because of the blah, blah, blah tax cuts. And now it's like, now the rich people vote for the Democrats because they're the only people not miserable right now.
Yeah. Well, I think you really nailed it there, because it's like, that goes to show, even if people are doing well, we know the country isn't, and the vast majority of people are doing very badly. And people are so desperate to believe in any platitude like just the word joy, and invest their own ideas into what that means, because they want to be doing better, and they want better quality of life, and they want all the sadness and meanness to go away. Overall, what they do manage to catch on the news, so they're that's what I've really noticed all along with the Democrats and the Democratic supporters, is they were creating the environment they believed that the Democrats would do, when the Democrats did not say they would do any of that stuff that people were. They're like, they're gonna restore Roe versus Wade. They're gonna codify it. They're gonna put new justices in. They're gonna put Supreme Court justices. They're gonna make sure that we have jobs. They're gonna take care of AI. They're gonna do crypto and whatever, and make that a real thing.
Oh yeah, black people are gonna get weed and crypto. Remember?
Yeah,
Kamala's plan.
Right. That was their promise. But my point is like, people were like, oh, we're gonna get a higher minimum wage, and they were inventing the things that they desperately.
Yeah, nobody even said that. They're making fanfic over here.
Exactly. They were, and that to me reads very, very, just on a personal level, very sad, because that says to me that people are so despondent in this country and so sad, and whether or not their life is good or not, they are not happy about certain aspects of it, to the point where they are willing to take the word joy, which means nothing in the context of politics, and then manipulate it into what they believe, the opposite of everything Trump would do.
I think that's why there was such a non-campaign. The role of both candidates was to be like, do nothing, say nothing, and let them construct their own fantasy world, and they'll vote for that.
And that's exactly what happened. This was all
the fantasy world where Trump is going to end the wars is the right-wing version of the same thing.
Right? Yeah, and even if you take that into account, he got somehow got a rap as an anti-war candidate.
I know. He says, I'm going to blow up everyone. They're like, he's our
he literally is like, I am going to Israel so fucking hard, you guys. Like, you are going to not believe how hard I can Israel.
He's like, I'm going to nuke Iran. They're like, he's the
death. Right? Yeah, exactly. And because it's obviously about power with him as well. But that's the whole point, is people projected onto him that he was going to be anti-war. And the people that wanted war projected onto him that he was going to do war. So he was just like, yeah, probably blow everybody up. That's what I'm thinking right now, actually. I'm thinking blow everybody up.
If he gets in there and does an Israel arms embargo, what the fuck are we going to say? It's like, well,
oh my God.
Holy shit, everyone. I can't believe it either.
No, I think the money's too good. And up to this point, Kamala Harris personally had received over $5 million from IPAC, and
Trump probably got $7. Oh,
yeah, it was something closer to like 1.5 or something. So if I were him, I'd be like, I'm president now, and you owe me some fucking money.
You didn't pay me my whole rate over here.
Right.
I have a quote hard out today because my husband needs to use this room for work, and because I did not change time zones for daylight savings time, but everyone else did in the country, so it's technically an hour later for me, which is now pushing me into his schedule. So let me show you we have two kind of interesting propositions, one of which I'm pretty happy about, for obvious reasons. In Arizona, Proposition 139, puts into the Arizona Constitution that abortion is legal up to, what is it? I think it's the language is up to fetal viability, unless in a case of it would hurt the mother. So basically, basically what everyone seems to want, which it kind of gets, quote, both sides to be happy, where you can get an abortion up to, like, when is fetal viability? That would be if the fetus can live outside of the mother, correct? So that's like, you got to be 8+ months pregnant before that can happen. You can't pull the baby out at 2 months and have it.
Well, there are. I mean, that's always been a myth that women will go in. That was a very big Trumpian myth that women go in and have these 9-month abortions.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody does that.
And that's not true. I mean, of course, it's possible. It's just not very likely. But there are medical instances where that must happen.
Right.
You know,
like you find out at the 8th month, oh no, this baby is going to kill you in a week if you don't. You know,
yes.
I'm not a medicine doctor, but. But I know it's possible. But that's in there. There's carve-outs for that. There isn't a specific rape incest one cut out, but like only time will tell when these things actually end up going to court. That's when we'll find out. But for the most part, abortion was already legal in Arizona, and now it's extra legal because they asked the people, and the people voted on it, and it was pretty overwhelming. It's like 60+% voted in favor, which in America is a landslide.
Right.
Bummer that Florida's got like 57%, but because of how their rules work, you have to hit at least 60 for a proposition to pass, which I think is horrible. Like, that's some bullshit. They need to change that in Florida. So Florida might actually be the first state to fail its like direct abortion thing, but also they have different rules where you just needed a straight up at least 50% here in Arizona. Like a 50.1% would have been enough. It doesn't have to be any other threshold, but we're clearing 60 anyway. And then you have California. Remember, California is one of the good states, one of the good blue liberal states that we all love and should follow and emulate. And they have their proposition, or is it Proposition 6, which prohibits slavery and involuntary servitude. So, of course, that was voted down to continue in California to allow a legal loophole for involuntary servitude if as punishment for a crime, which that doesn't technically matter because, what is it, the 13th Amendment? We have the Supremacy Clause, so the Constitution supersedes California law anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But isn't it fucked up to go, wow, 3.8 million people in California voted for slavery?
Yes. It is.
Jesus Christ.
And we're seeing, again, a lot with Gavin Newsom as well, and tearing up the homeless or unhoused people's camps personally. Continue doing it for photo ops and then shooting down, like healthcare and different things that they, it's like the austerity play of let's be soft Republicans. It only worked for them as, like personally, like because of the bribes that they took and the money that they took from PACs and whatever else that said, do my bidding, biatch. So that's where we, that's what that gets you. So like everybody wants to look at California as this haven of example of greatness and wonderfulness of what we should do as a society, but they too are turning the tide on let's make everything horrible for everybody who could really benefit from wellness. So it looks like our Mr. Mayor Jared here has a song prepared for us. And
I do. I just got to make this window go away. There we are.
Excellent. Okay, yes. So see, he has a heart out. So I will go ahead and say my goodbyes here with you all. So take care. Try not to stress about things too much. We kind of know where things are going to head from here, but things are also going to be
don't kill yourself. I've seen so many people who hopefully they're joking, but they're just like, time to kill myself. Trump, I'm so miserable. I can't. It's like, dude, that'd be like killing yourself because Coke outsold Pepsi or vice versa. Like, please don't.
Let's hold off for that reasoning, anyways. Jesus. For right now, at least let's have a better reason, okay?
Don't kill yourself for Trump. That's silly.
Yeah, and so for now, we will be back next week with hopefully some different topics than just electoral politics. I hope so, anyways. But just try to live. Just try to exist. Do your best, and we will enjoy this song from Mr. Jared, and we will see you next week. So from me, goodbye and take care.
This isn't meant to be like an ironic, I'm goofing on people song selection, but I was like, what can I play that's kind of not necessarily even somber, but don't think this isn't too deep of a song choice here.
And you can bring me to my knees again. All the times that I could beg you, please, in vain. All the times that I felt insecure for you, and I leave my burdens at the door. But I'm on the outside, I'm looking in. I can see through you, see your true colors, 'cause inside you're ugly, ugly like me. I can see through you, see to the real you. All the times I felt like this won't end, it's for you, and I taste what I could never have. It was from you. All the times that I cried, my intentions were full of pride, but I waste more time than anyone. I'm on the outside, I'm looking in. I can see through you, see your true colors, 'cause inside you're ugly, ugly like me. I can see through you, see to the real you. Right, here's the really high verse. Can I do it this early? It's like noon, it's not even early. Here we go. All the times that I've cried, all this wasted, it's all inside, and I feel all this pain, stuffed it down, now it's back again, and I lie here in bed, all alone. I can't mend, but I feel tomorrow will be okay. 'Cause I'm on the outside, I'm looking in. I can see through you, see your true colors, 'cause inside you're ugly, ugly like me. I can see through you, say to the